DEEPWOKEN, the best roguelike survival game on Roblox. A game that has almost a cult following towards it. But how did DEEPWOKEN attain this following? How did we fall so far from it? Well, this is the rise and downfall of DEEPWOKEN. On November 11th, 2019, DEEPWOKEN was officially announced under the name Project DEEPWOKEN. Yeah, so creative, right? This project was said to be a permadeath style fantasy game similar to the studio's previous works, Rogue Lineage and Tales from the Valley. At this point in time, DEEPWOKEN was merely a concept to the public, probably one that should have never came out. Only a couple months later would the public actually get a taste of what Project DEEPWOKEN was. On March 29th, 2019, the first DEEPWOKEN Direct was held.
What about the power gap between fresh spawns and like people who have progressed a little bit?
I doubt you'll see like power gaps that large. If there are power gaps that large, at least if you're very good at the game, you'll be able to effectively deal with very powerful players.
Yeah, so that's not exactly true. But this direct did reveal a lot of stuff, like the combat system, world building, magic, movement, the permanent system, you know, everything that DEEPWOKEN is today. Everybody's excited. Oh my god, DEEPWOKEN is coming out. The game was immediately appraised and had high expectations set for it. DEEPWOKEN was shaping up to be a very ambitious game for the platform. Roblox had never seen anything like it before. After this direct, we received very minimal news about the game for almost 2 months. Only after this wait would we know the actual release date of the game, and it was much sooner than we thought. DEEPWOKEN's release date is officially announced on December 17th, 2020. The game would be releasing just 3 days later, on December 20th, 2020. On December 19th, 2020, the DEEPWOKEN Discord server opens to the public. DEEPWOKEN is officially out. 35,000 players, 10,000 videos, 50,000 monsters, Tutorial 1, Tutorial 2, Tutorial 3. DEEPWOKEN is an insta-hit. Whoa, home run, baby. In-depth character creation with over hundreds of cards to choose from, 5 unique attunements that all have their own playstyles, 3 different weapon classes that provide unique player experiences, seeing mobs that you'll never forget, seeing bosses that you'll never forget, seeing bells that you'll never forget. Wait, this is release day of DEEPWOKEN. How the f do you get a bell? Well, it doesn't matter how you get a bell because DEEPWOKEN is out. Everyone is playing DEEPWOKEN. Tell your friends about DEEPWOKEN. Tell your mom about DEEPWOKEN. Tell your parents about DEEPWOKEN.
They released a new oath in DEEPWOKEN. Oh, what?
Okay, maybe don't tell your parents about DEEPWOKEN. My point is, DEEPWOKEN on release was truly something special. Nobody knew anything about the game, so players got to experience it for what it truly was, an exploration game. New discoveries were being made every day. Things like oaths, resonances were all foreign concepts to players at the time. Trying to unlock Shadowcast and going to the Void Sea only for goddamn Kaido to show up, getting your first Ironclad, or wiping your first character. It was truly a unique experience, like nothing else on the platform. A fleshed out combat system. Oh, and did I mention that the game got updates every single Monday? So if DEEPWOKEN was such a good game, what happened to it? Well, there's a few things. The PvP system. DEEPWOKEN offers a unique style of combat unlike most other Roblox games. In DEEPWOKEN, you can block, parry, or dodge your enemy's attacks. Technically, you can be invincible to anything if you're good enough, but that wasn't really the case. There were a lot of broken things in this combat system. On the release of DEEPWOKEN, players had the ability to move stack their M1s and mantras. This was extremely broken and definitely made a few people quit the game, but luckily it was quickly removed. Another example of something broken in DEEPWOKEN, comically large mantras. You could single-handedly take down a group of players while using these. They also did a lot of damage and could sometimes even one-shot players. This was something that DEEPWOKEN wanted to avoid, but failed to do so. Enchants. Enchants were not just extremely busted, but also extremely rare. Many players felt like, and truthfully were, at a huge disadvantage while fighting against a player with an enchant. At the time, enchants like Vampirism, which allowed you to heal, and Heroism, which allowed your M1s to do 25% more damage, were game-changing. Ganking is a core part of DEEPWOKEN. It's probably the most fun thing to do even nowadays. For solo players though, it can be very discouraging to play a game in such a broken state combat-wise, although arguably it was better to be a solo player back then rather than now. Exploiters. Probably DEEPWOKEN's biggest issue. A ton of the player base exploited, which led to huge gaps in equipments at the start of the game. Exploiters running around with fully progressed slots in just a couple of hours could really ruin the fun for legit players. This also ties in with ganking, as many players use auto parry and ESP. Balance changes. Since there are updates every Monday, you can expect a ton of balance changes along with it. While this may seem like a good thing, when a build can take hours to progress and get rid after an update, it can be very discouraging to actually continue playing the game. Vital talent cards like Exoskeleton were completely reworked and changed into different things, which can ruin a lot of builds. Little did we know, history would repeat itself, but I'll get into that a little later. With all these factors combined, it carved the path for DEEPWOKEN's slow demise. The updates were not enough to keep players engaged. They started nerfing everything fun and charming about the game. You like big mantras? Well, I'm taking it away. Enchants that are rare, no more. No new oaths were being added, no new attunements were being added. The game was as dry as the Sahara Desert. Players were leaving, everything that had been discovered was discovered. At this point, almost a year has passed since release. YouTube videos were slowing down. Clips of the game were not showing up and being shared as frequently anymore. The interest in the game died down. There were a few things for dedicated players to look forward to, like weekly Monday updates, which provided the slightest amount of content, things like Holotide, but for casual players, there wasn't much to look forward to. Oh my fucking god, Layer 2 was announced, guys. We are so back, baby. We got news of a huge content update that's going to provide new worlds, new islands, new oaths, new weapons, new attunements. Okay, so no new attunements were added, but new mods, new bosses. This is exactly what DEEPWOKEN needed. People actually had the reason to look. Hold on. Okay, much better. On March 5th, 2022, the DEEPWOKEN developer team announced that a large update was in the works. 3 weeks later, it's revealed that this update was dubbed the name Journey to Layer 2. People actually looked forward to what the future of DEEPWOKEN held. 3 months later, on June 6th, 2022, we would get our first actual sneak peek of the Layer 2 update. So yeah, a lot of exciting stuff was coming to the game. 3 weeks later, on June 25th, 2022, we would get our first look at the new rearward combat system, which added new mechanics like venting and uppercuts. Similar to the release of DEEPWOKEN, months had passed by without hearing much news of the development of the Layer 2 update. On December 22nd, 2022, Layer 2 was announced just 1 day before release. The update was also no longer called Layer 2, it was now called Verse 2. DEEPWOKEN hit an all-time peak of 40k players with the release of Verse 2. This is DEEPWOKEN's Renaissance era, the revival of the game. This felt very similar to the release of DEEPWOKEN. New oaths, new weapons, new islands to explore, and new bosses to fight. Tons of content being made, people's interest in the game at an all-time high, and the community and fan content was also at an all-time high. This update added what would be known as Layer 2, a unique dungeon consisting of 2 floors, which both provide unique and different experiences. The combat system was also heavily reworked, build creation was easier now than ever with the addition of shrines. Players can now choose what enchants they get. A plethora of new talents were added. You can be Iron Man. DEEPWOKEN was the king of Roblox. Nothing could go wrong, right? But as we all know, history repeats itself. As one could assume, players get bored if they've done everything. Ever since Verse 2 came out, the game has gone in a downward spiral. Is DEEPWOKEN a dead game? Depends on who you ask. As a content creator? Oh, most definitely. But as a player? Most definitely not. DEEPWOKEN's player count still goes pretty strong. It's getting hard for players to continue playing the game though, especially as we're in a kind of limbo for content. Adding new monsters is cool, but is it enough to bring me back to play the game again? Nope. No matter how far from grace it's fallen, I still cherish many memories with DEEPWOKEN. And honestly, it's pretty tragic to see where the game is right now, especially for content creators. A lot of it is copy and paste, and I can't say I'm not guilty of it as well, but I mean, come on, what else are we supposed to do? Here's the question everyone's probably thinking in their head. Do I think DEEPWOKEN will stay dead forever? No, only if the developers don't add a major content update. But if they do, maybe, just maybe, we'll see DEEPWOKEN's third revival.